In the luxury market, this number of days is not completely shocking. All the noises going on around us, all the noise that's going on in the world, and frankly, in other real estate markets, is not affecting the current New York City market. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market, where I take a look at the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. I do it because I want you to be informed. It never hurts when you're a consumer to be informed. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. We're going to be looking at what happened in the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market last week. That would be for the week of March 20th to the 27th. And before I get started, a lot of people ask me why I do these reports every week, and it's really pretty simple. I am a practicing real estate broker in Manhattan, and I have a lot of clients who would like to have information as they're trying to make decisions about whether in their buying and selling process. And so I realized that if someone is actively buying or selling in the New York City real estate market, they need the kind of information that I have. If you're an active buyer or seller in the New York City market, this information should be very helpful to you so that you can be an informed consumer. Because for most people, these decisions, these real estate decisions, represent some of the largest, if not the largest, portion of their financial portfolio. So I know how important these decisions are, and I want you to be informed so you can make great decisions. Okay, that's it. Any questions, please post them below as I go along. At the end of the Brooklyn report, I am going to sum up what we're seeing right now. There is a lot going on in the world and in New York City real estate. So we're going to get started, as we always do, with the luxury report. There were 32 contracts signed last week for properties that are priced at $4 million and above in Manhattan. That is 4 more than the previous week. Condos outsold co-ops 21-8, and there were 3 townhouses in that group. The number 1 contract for last week was a property comprised of 2 townhouses sold by the same owner at 15 and 17 East 77th Street. This is a stunning property. It was asking $32.5 million. It was reduced from $38 million when it was listed a year ago. Each of these houses has 5 stories, and they are almost 17 feet wide, each of them. Combined, they total almost 10,000 square feet. The interior of the houses, basically a shell or white box, and they're ready to be renovated. The real estate taxes are pretty whopping, $430,000 a year. And just interesting, the seller bought the houses between 2010 and 2012 for a total of $22.5 million. Wow. Whoever gets these 2 houses and makes this combination, it will be absolutely stunning. The number 2 contract was a co-op at 993 Fifth Avenue, was the penthouse. It was asking just under $20 million, and that was reduced from just under $40 million when it was listed at the end of June in 2021. It is a duplex penthouse. It has 12 rooms. It includes 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms. The downstairs entertaining space features a 40-foot living room, a gallery, and a formal dining room. They all open onto a stunning 51-foot terrace overlooking Central Park. Upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms, and those are all surrounded by terraces. This unit needs to be completely renovated. The photos that you're looking at, many of them are virtually staged. So this is what it could be, not what it is. The amenities in the building include a doorman, fitness center, and storage. And this co-op board does not allow mortgage financing. So now we're going to take a look at those quick stats for last week. The total weekly asking price sales volume, just a little under 265 million. The average price, almost 8,300,000. The median asking price, almost 6,100,000. Here's something interesting. We are watching this average discount from original ask to last asking price kind of all over the place. It was quite low a few weeks ago. Now we're back up to about 16%. Very often these percentages are such a micro view because it's only the pool of properties for that week that went into contract for that week. And so you really, it's good to watch it. Sometimes I think these numbers can be very skewed. And so it's noteworthy. It's just helpful to know this. So this week, the discount was 16%. Average days on market, really same story here. It really depends on the properties that went into contract any given week. This week, the average days on the market, 799. We know that these luxury properties take longer to sell. If it's new development, it takes still longer to sell because those properties have to advertise. They typically list them. They're selling from floor plans in the beginning. So in the luxury market, this number of days is not completely shocking. All right, that's it for the luxury market report for last week. If you have any questions, again, please post them below. Feel free to share these videos if you feel they would be helpful to someone. And as always, please subscribe if you find this kind of information to be helpful to you. Now we're going to take a look at Manhattan, and then we're going to take a look at Brooklyn, and then I'm going to give you my recap. Before I get started with the charts, I just want to say as an overview, despite the noise that is going on all around us, we are not yet seeing these kind of macro factors trickling down to New York City real estate. It can take a while for that to happen. Right now, we're actually seeing pretty healthy Manhattan and Brooklyn markets. We're going to get into the specifics of that. We're going to start with Manhattan, and we're going to take a look at the supply for last week. 438 properties came on the market last week. That's a change of just a little under 1%. And the contract signed 234 for the week, down 12%. Off market, up 8.3% at 131. When we take a look at this very narrow weekly look, it tells part of the story, but we need to step back a little bit and take a look at the monthly look at the supply, contract signed and off market. So for Manhattan, the supply is actually up almost 41% for the month. 1,827 properties came on the market. Contract signed, 1,054, that's up 29%. Off market up almost 16% at 520. If we look at this market pulse, we see that we continue to be in this kind of healthy, balanced, neutral market. And that is, again, in light of everything that's going on, it's pretty impressive. And from where we came a few months ago, we were down quite a lot, especially when you look at this liquidity chart. 1,054, this is a moving target. This is always updating. So, for this moment, 1,054, we can see that we are kind of definitely in neutral liquidity, kind of moving up from, for sure moving up from, gosh, look where we were at the beginning of the year, kind of in January, February. My gosh, we were at like 500 and something properties. This is a sign of a much healthier market. And we do have buyers who are making offers, and contracts are being signed, which is great and kind of honestly pretty impressive for given everything that's going on and given what happened a few months ago. All right, the supply, if we look at this detailed chart, we see that the inventory in Manhattan is growing. It's definitely a step down from earlier years, but this is right around this supply is kind of on track for the season. So the supply is in pretty good shape. The demand, the pending sales are starting to increase. We have about another month or two. We have April and basically May of the spring market. After that, things will very likely start to taper off as we head into the summer months. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with the news. We could end up, if we don't have any more bad news, we have these 2 months. Again, we're kind of right on track where we need to be for sales. In terms of the pending sales, and new listings definitely have fewer listings than 2022, but again, for a kind of a more normal market, we are definitely on trend. Contracts signed, we see that the contract signs, the weekly contracts signed, are ticking up, and they're beginning to outpace 2019 levels, but they are kind of still lagging, at least for now. 21 and 22, those were our recovery months after COVID. And so we had tremendous amount of activity, kind of unusually high. That's it for what was happening last week in the Manhattan market. We're going to shift over, take a look at Brooklyn, and then I will sum it all up for you. Now, what happened in Brooklyn last week? Let's start like we did with Manhattan. It's a similar story in Brooklyn. We're seeing the supply rising a bit. We're seeing the demand rising a bit. Basically, we are continuing in Brooklyn to be in a neutral market. It may even be a little bit tighter than Manhattan, but let's take a look at these charts and go from there. If we take a look at the 1 week, the supply was up almost 18%, 224. Contract signed was kind of a wash, 146. Off market, down almost 11% at 58 properties. If we step back and look at the 1 month look, which gives us actually a kind of a broader view of what's going on with supply and demand, we see that the supply in Brooklyn is up almost 28%, definitely lagging behind Manhattan, but still up for Brooklyn, 852. The contract signed, 575, little over 23%, and the off-market properties rose about 32%. We've talked about off-market before, and just anecdotally, I will say that often when we see off-market properties rising in a market where more sellers are opting to sell, because this is when the buyers are typically in force during the spring market, what it could well be signaling is that sellers are not getting the prices that they want, and they are opting out and renting their properties, or perhaps they're just holding on to them and they're going to ride this out a bit and see if there's a better opportunity. If we take a look now at the Brooklyn market pulse, we see again, just as with Manhattan, we are in this neutral market. Interestingly, it's a little bit kind of lower. I won't say we're in buyer's market by any means. It's a balanced market, just like it is in Manhattan, but everything is a bit on the slow side. Again, we have until probably end of May, perhaps into June. So we'll have to see how this market ends up playing out over the next couple of months. If we look at the liquidity pace for Brooklyn, we see also that it is neutral, definitely improving. I mean, gosh, again, I point to the beginning of 2023. Look how low the liquidity was. So this is definitely an improvement. The supply, as I mentioned, is rising, but it is rising very slowly. The demand definitely has turned a corner. We're on the upside. Let's call it that. It's turned the corner and we're definitely ticking up, but again, very, very slow. Looking at the cumulative number of new listings in Brooklyn continues to lag behind last year. But again, that's not a surprise. Last year was crazy this time of year. And if we look at the contract signed, the weekly contract signed definitely increased by a very slight amount. Still not at the levels of 21 and 22. But we've talked about that. We went through our transition. Last 2 quarters of 2022, we came into 2023, kind of still adjusting. Would seem now we have made that adjustment and we're back. And we're back now to a neutral market. We definitely saw an uptick in the luxury contracts for more than the previous week for properties priced at $4 million and above. That's great. We see that the Manhattan and the Brooklyn markets are rising as we would expect them to. We're seeing pretty good liquidity in Manhattan, decent liquidity in Brooklyn. We are seeing that buyers are definitely stepping up. More buyers are coming back into the market and making offers and getting their deals done. I mentioned before these macro influences that we just cannot control. What's interesting is with all the noise that is going on, banking, Fed rates, recession talk again, like with all of this noise going on, we are not seeing anything in a negative way being reflected in the New York City real estate market. It can take a while sometimes for those factors to trickle down and begin to play a part in shaping what's happening in the market. For right now, we are not seeing that. And in fact, if anything, we are seeing a fairly healthy, neutral kind of market, pretty balanced. We are also seeing in the data, now that we have it, that the price action for co-ops and condos has not really been too impacted. In fact, condos are up a bit in terms of their price per square foot, and co-ops are down a little bit, but again, nothing too noteworthy. But I think it is helpful for both buyers and sellers to understand what is actually happening. We are not seeing prices falling in New York City. What we are seeing is kind of a holding steady. Now, what's going to happen going forward? Sellers, be sure to take advantage of this market. As I mentioned, this is the best time of year for you to sell your property. You have until probably the end of May, maybe a little bit into June, depending on your price point. You really want to get your deal done in this market. Do not miss it. With all this noise going on out there, at some point, if there's more news and it's, that would have an adverse effect on the market, you don't want to be hanging out there, especially as the seasonality kicks in and the market starts to slow down and buyers start to go on vacation and decide they're going to regroup and re-enter in the fall. Buyers, there was a kind of a buy signal to you at the end of January of this year. Your opportunity, let's call it your very best leverage, has passed us by, at least for the moment. You may have another opportunity for leverage in the summer, in July and August, when the market is typically the slowest. If there are properties out there that have been sitting, it could be a really great opportunity for you to get the property that you want and to have a little more leverage. The takeaway for this week is all the noises going on around us, all the noise that's going on in the world, and frankly in other real estate markets, is not affecting the current New York City market. It remains to be seen what's going to happen over time, but for right now, we are in good shape. We are in a healthy, kind of neutral, balanced market. So sellers, you want to get something done. You've got a couple months to get it done before things slow down. Buyers, if you see something you like, you should definitely step up, but don't think you're going to get some huge, big discount unless this property is truly overpriced and/or it's been on the market for a very long time. If you don't see anything you like right now, you're probably going to get another opportunity in the summer to have a little more leverage. But don't pass up those things that you love, just waiting for more leverage, because it'll probably be gone by then. Because if you love it, likely someone else will too. All right, that is it for this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. I want to thank the Olshan Market Report and Urban Digs for their amazing reporting on the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. The work that they do absolutely helps me to help you make great decisions. I'll be back next week. In the meantime, take care.